And they say Denzel Washington can't do comedy.
What do you mean? Some of his best movies are hilarious. Philadelphia.
Oh,
Training.
Jesus Christ, Philadelphia. There's nothing funny about that.
No, oh my God.
Oh, there's also nothing funny about this piece of shit either.
No, it's awful.
No, but it had to be done.
It did? Why?
Well, because of the fucking birthday beer.
Oh, we had to watch it.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
the movie
the
did
movie
not
did not have to be
No,
made.
it
Yeah,
did
okay.
not. No. Welcome to Bad Movies and Beer. I'm Cooper.
I'm Nolan.
And today we are going to be discussing Denzel Washington's greatest shame, what is widely considered the worst of all of Denzel Washington's movies, the 1990 comedy, I guess?
I didn't really find it too, super comedy.
Heart Condition.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's supposed to be a comedy.
I guess so. They did not pull off the comedy notes very well.
They did not.
There are some moments where it's clear they're going for a comedy, and then others you would have no idea.
No, it's like alternatingly like comedy, like standard cop thriller, like there's some very dramatic elements in here, period racial drama almost. Like
if you were tuning into this in chunks, right? Or if you were just like tuning in on TV, you would have had no idea that it was a comedy movie, right? You would just be confused by some of the odd choices they make that do come off funny.
Odd choices is putting it incredibly mildly, as everyone will find out as we go through this. If you haven't seen Heart Condition,
don't.
Maybe don't.
Yeah, I mean,
don't.
you're talking about how we feel bad for Denzel Washington for being this. What about poor Bob Hoskins?
I feel less bad for Bob Hoskins. I don't know why.
I recognize Bob Hoskins, but I have no idea what else he's been in. Like
Who Framed Roger Rabbit?
Oh, absolutely. Okay, that makes sense. Yes. So he is the same person who's the lead in Who Framed Roger
He's
Rabbit.
kind of playing the same character also.
Yeah, that's
just
interesting.
replace his racism towards black people with racism towards cartoons, and you've basically got the same thing.
You're right. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Wow. So we chose this movie because you're matching up with my gift from our birthday episode.
Yeah, so back in our Happy Birthday to Me episode back in October, we did our birthday gift exchange. I gave you a movie, the hilariously disturbing Let My Puppets Come, which is a bonus episode because it was so disturbingly erotic. We could not in good conscience put it as a regular episode. And you gave me this Two-Hearted Ale from Bell's, which is an American brewery.
Yeah, so this beer I chose because I know how much you love America.
I do.
Yeah,
it's true.
And this is my go-to American beer. And it's just an American IPA that I started drinking going down for baseball games or other times we would visit, and it blew me away. It was sort of one of the first IPAs I had, and it hooked me. So anytime I go to the United States, I try to get it. And I even have a friend who lives in Michigan now who will bring it back when she comes home to visit. So it's always super appreciated.
That's nice of her.
Yeah, these are from her, so I want to thank her for these.
Very good. Yes, thank you, mysterious, unnamed. You don't have to name those.
Yeah, we don't know if she wants to be in the podcast, so she knows who she is, and
Fair
we appreciate her.
Definitely. Well, the Two-Hearted Ale name matching up with this movie because, as we're going to find out, I almost can't even explain this, but Bob Hoskins plays a racist police officer. We kind of hinted at. Denzel Washington plays a black criminal attorney, and by that I mean like an attorney for criminals. We get the impression he's kind of crooked in this. Bob Hoskins ended up having a massive heart attack and needs a transplant, and conveniently enough, Denzel Washington just happens to die like right then, and they transplant his heart into Bob Hoskins' body, and hilarious racial comedy ensues. Yeah.
So the reason it connects is we have someone who's gotten his second heart.
Yeah, Two-Hearted.
Yeah, and now we're going to enjoy this beer and talk about this disaster of a movie.
I was going to say the beer can't be worse than the fucking movie, so, you know.
No, this beer is wonderful. I'm going to rave about it the whole time.
Well, but not only a beer, we've got a second beer also.
Yeah.
You forgot to mention that.
That's right. So I thought as a treat, you should have both the double Two-Hearted Ale, which is the double IPA, and the regular Two-Hearted Ale. So we're going to get a chance to enjoy both today.
I mean, I don't know how I feel about the double Two-Hearted Ale, but I guess we'll get into it. Right now, we're going to start with the original then?
You want to do the regular? Okay.
Okay.
We'll ramp it up as we go.
Sounds good.
Okay.
What a good idea. All right, let's try it. To start the movie off, we hear some female laughter and what sounds like blues piano over the credits. And the first thing we see is some kind of sex party. there's a woman taking photographs of two naked people wearing what look like some kind of tribal masks and smoking something. Crack? Is it crack?
I think it's crack.
Well, either way, this doesn't exactly scream comedy, especially when the guy keels over from a heart attack.
So very quickly, I'm like, knowing that this movie is a movie where someone gets somebody else's heart, I was like, is it happening already?
This guy's getting the heart?
Yeah. I was like, holy shit, they did not waste much time.
There are a large amount of heart attacks in this movie now that I think about it.
Yeah, you found a good connection here.
Well, this one's an overdose, though, I believe. And the next thing we see is a car pulling up to a big house. And as some guys clean up the crime scene, we learn that this dead party guy is actually a senator. From there, we cut to angry Bob Hoskins just demolishing a burger and making outlandish claims that Kurt Rambis was the key to the success of the Showtime Lakers. So we quickly learn that he's racist and doesn't know shit about basketball. Fucking Rambis? Come on.
They're really playing up the unhealthy lifestyle here. Like the burger he's mowing down on, he's got a beer in a paper bag while he's on duty, and he's smoking. Like you never see him without a cigarette in his hand.
It's the heart attack trifecta. Yeah. His partner even comments on this also. His partner, by the way, is the guy from Total Recall who sells Arnold Schwarzenegger on the secret agent package.
Oh,
He's fucking Bob from Recall.
You're right. That's cool.
I lost all respect for him right then. I was like, this is not going to be good. They're both cops, and they're running a sting on some prostitutes. When the fresh-faced piece of hooker bait they send out gets one in the boat, they head over to make the bus, but on the way, Hoskins' character, Jack Mooney, sees his arch enemy driving the other way and peels off to follow him. That would be Napoleon Stone, played to his eternal regret by Denzel Washington.
Yeah, so this is where we see immediately that Hoskins is a loose cannon, right? He's supposed to be following his colleague who has a lady of the night in his car, right? They put on that sting. I actually thought at first that the young guy in the car was going to be the person getting busted and that the woman would have been the cop. I thought they were going to do the reverse sting here, but I was wrong on that one.
Oh, no, they got the young guy wired up and they've sent him in there to go fishing, and he succeeds. But now there'll be no one there to make this bus. He's going to get blown by this prostitute while he waits for someone else to show up.
Yes.
That's what happens. Yeah, that's what happens.
I think he ends up marrying her, or they're together at the end.
That's not correct. No fucking way.
They're together in the final scene.
I don't believe you. I don't want to go back and look.
Yeah, they're together in the final scene of this movie. We're going to rehash this when we get to the end. So we see him leave what he's supposed to be doing.
Yeah, this is where we learn that not only is Napoleon Stone a lawyer who protects some of the city's biggest criminals, but that he also stole Mooney's woman. Now, do you think it took a lot of work for fucking Denzel Washington to steal Bob Hoskins' lady, or was that a hard sell for her?
No, I don't think so. I mean, Bob Hoskins is significantly shorter, significantly older, and fatter.
Also hairier. We see later on he's topless. And my God,
much hairier.
That dude's got body hair for days.
And Denzel does make a whole lot more money.
Oh, that's for sure. We find that out later also. They follow Stone to what looks like a bar or restaurant where he picks up the two women from that sex party gone wrong. The women are extremely intoxicated, and when he ends up backhanding one of them, Hoskins loses his shit. He runs out of the car and just starts shooting at him.
Yeah, I was blown away here. I mean, clearly this is the woman that they both loved. We kind of get some of that backstory on the drive over there. But why the fuck would he shoot his gun into the car where she is?
But also, like, without being like, stop, police, just fucking start shooting. It's crazy.
Oh, yeah, no, he clearly doesn't care at all about his job or anything, right? He's just making completely insane decisions, which probably happens if you're a police officer who drinks on the job.
Well, we'll get to that later as well, but this dude's your classic, like, cop movie burnout. They end up in a foot race, which Hoskins has no business winning, but he manages to stick with Denzel long enough to almost see him dispose of the drugs the women had. And when Denzel is stopped by two plainclothes officers, Mooney stumbles up and knees him in the balls. Footnote, this chase music they played here is absolutely awful.
I actually underlined the music in the background too because it was so bad. This is something the movie does a lot to try to add drama, is they put really poor music in the background of the chase or action scenes.
This is like a guy scatting though. It wasn't even like, it was like terrible. Really bad stuff.
And I don't know. So yeah, Denzel is able to dump the drugs that were on the women. He does get kneed in the dick and they arrest him. Does that mean Denzel's in trouble here?
Oh, not at all, because Hoskins also calls him the N-word, which, when coupled with all of the other flagrant violations of police protocol, causes his captain to literally laugh in his face.
I made the arrest.
Oh,
You may squat, Mooney. And I am sick and tired of your street cowboy attitude and your racist bullshit. But let me try and get through to you, Mooney. There are those of us who can say the N-word. And there are those of us who cannot.
He also suspends him indefinitely, so turn in your badge and gun.
Now, I was a bit uncomfortable with the N-word convo they have. I mean,
all I know is Bob Hoskins shouldn't be saying that word. His captain's right about that.
Yeah,
Hoskins is not the guy.
We shouldn't have any voice in it. But yeah, Bob Hoskins certainly should not be using it.
No. Now, this is the point where we find out that one of those two party girls is, in fact, Sergeant Mooney's ex-girlfriend. She's a hooker, I guess. Now, tell me this. What the hell is handsome Denzel Washington, a lawyer no less, dating this prostitute? Like, of all the unbelievable things in this movie, this to me might be the most unbelievable.
I mean, you're saying this is more unbelievable than him having a heart attack and then getting his sort of arch enemy's heart put into him at the exact time he needs it?
This is more unbelievable than him being haunted by the ghost of the guy whose heart he gets. This is ridiculous. There's no fucking chance.
You're right. It is baffling. You kind of understand why she gets with Mooney because he gets her off the street. I think it was part of his job. He finds her and then he takes her home to try to sort of save her. Why she ends up with Denzel, the only explanation we can get, and this comes from his mother, is that he just liked to lay pipe all over town.
No, I know, but like, I guess that's true. That explains why he was willing to.
Yeah, he doesn't care who it is, and it's not like she lives with him or like they have a lasting relationship.
No, but later on he says he wishes he should have married her. Like, what on earth? I don't know what it is about this woman.
He only says he should have married her because he didn't wear a Jimmy.
Whoa, well, spoiler alert. Let's wait for that. Anyway, she walks over to Mooney, and after an emotional exchange, she slips him a roll of film and tells him to develop it if anything ever happens to her. Now, we head back home with Sergeant Mooney, and because he's a cop in a movie, we see that his place is a shithole, his life is in shambles, and he drinks bourbon straight from the bottle.
Yeah, being a cop is hard. That's what I've learned from this podcast.
Every fucking cop movie, they're just a burnout. They're barely holding it together.
Every movie we've watched with cops, right? It doesn't matter what it is. Those cops have always just been tortured souls who are like complete alcoholics. All of their relationships have fallen apart.
Definitely. As if things couldn't get any worse, he suddenly suffers a massive heart attack. Now, they try a little wordplay at the hospital as the doctor, surprised at Mooney's lack of physical fitness, confirms with his partner that he was, in fact, a cop. The partner says, yeah, Vice. And when the doctor asks how he managed to get in this bad condition, the partner again says, Vice. I thought that was kind of cute. Yeah. That's kind of funny.
There was a little bit in there. There's some wordplay in this movie that was clever, and then there was a lot of use of words that were not.
No, and we'll see that very soon. Unfortunately for Sergeant Mooney, his heart is so bad that without a transplant, he's a dead man. Fortunately for Sergeant Mooney, at that exact moment, a donor just happens to get wheeled into the hospital.
It is really funny, the timing, because the doctors have pretty much written him off. They're basically like, this guy's toast.
Yeah, if he doesn't get heart in the next 15 seconds, he's fucking dead.
And then it shows up and you're like, oh my goodness. Now his heart doctor, this is a throwback to Showgirls?
You recognize the name? Yeah. I know. I was like, who the fuck is this guy? And I found out, yes, it is, what was his fucking name? Oh God, Tony something?
Tony Moss. He's the producer in Showgirls.
Yes. Yeah, best part of Showgirls.
Yeah, I thought it was funny that we saw him pop in here.
Great connection. Now, apparently this heart donor died in a car crash, although you'd never know it, because when they pull back the sheet to reveal the dead body, we see the perfectly preserved face of Denzel Washington. Not a scratch on him.
Yeah, no, clearly this car crash only affected his lower half.
And by that, you mean like waist down, because his heart's perfect.
Oh, yeah.
There are coincidences, and then there are coincidences, and then there's this lazy bullshit. Come on.
Is this more or less lazy than so many of the coincidences in Karate Kid 2?
It's pretty fucking lazy. I'd watch Karate Kid 2 1,000 times before I watch this piece of shit again.
This is worse. This is just insane. I can't believe they made that choice.
I can't believe Denzel Washington. Well, we'll see.
Yeah, how did he sign up for this?
I don't know. He wasn't the star yet. We dissolve from a close-up of Denzel's face to a close-up of Bob Hoskins' face. It's 6 weeks later, and as he opens his eyes for the first time, he is greeted by the sweet sounds of 4 of his police friends badly singing, and the sweet sight of a giant black dildo sticking up from between his legs. As you can imagine, this does not go well.
I kind of laughed, but I felt bad at laughing at this scene. It was one of those where it was funny to see those 4 men doing that, and then to see him wake up. The racism part of it is not as funny, but
he's furious. He is such a racist that he actually wants the doctors to remove the heart that is keeping him alive.
They really play on this over the next little bit here. Like, it's the next whole bunch of scenes are just everyone making black jokes at him.
It's true. All I could think this whole time was, oh my God, he's going to be so upset when Denzel Washington's ghost starts haunting him. It's the worst thing.
I had forgotten almost that was going to happen at this point. I was just kind of groaning at all of them making fun of him for having a black heart.
Yeah, well, he's got so much to be upset about here because he's too physically fragile to do his old job, setting up busts and running down criminals. So he's going to be married to his desk from here on out. But as you pointed out, he's lucky enough to have coworkers who are warm and compassionate and don't do things like leave copies of Ebony magazine in his desk and say nice tan to him.
Yeah.
It's pretty fucking bad.
Oh my God.
You know what though? No, fuck this guy. He deserves this. I hope he's as uncomfortable as possible.
Well, I mean, I agree. Because of who he is and the way he's acted, he does deserve this. But it's not right what the others are doing either.
No, it's not right. Someone makes a comment that he, in addition to a black heart, he also might have received a black
Yeah. The one thing I want to bring up here, and I had it in my notes, was, did you notice that there were a lot of sound effects used in this movie?
For comedy.
Yeah.
They're used for comedy.
Yeah. So there's very little comedy so far.
Oh my God, there's like none.
Like none.
Unless you count the whole black though and the Ebony magazine.
Some very
thing.
poor, like, crude, racist comedy.
I laughed at the Ebony magazine. That made me laugh.
Yes, all right. That's fair.
That is a funny way. If you have a coworker who's racist, putting that stuff in his desk will get a rise out of him. Like that's amusing.
That is funny. But the sound effects they throw in to make things like be funny were so bad.
It's hacky. It's just hacky.
Yeah. Now that you say he's out of Roger Rabbit, it reminds me of that. Right? Like this is like they were trying to throw to that.
Yeah,
Which
man,
movie
definitely.
came first?
I think Cooper and Roger Rabbit came first. I could be wrong.
That's what this sounds like. They're trying to take some of that and put that in here to make it kind of fun. I don't know.
Maybe. Well, this new lifestyle is going to be an adjustment, but not one that he seems willing to make. As the next time we see him, he's smoking a cigarette online at a greasy burger stand. He sits down and is about to take a giant bite when all of a sudden his hands get slapped by a familiar sounding man.
Yeah.
It's the ghost of Denzel Washington.
What is it?
It's the ghost of Denzel Washington. And we now get some physical comedy where they're grappling over the cheeseburger, except nobody can see Denzel. So it just seems like Bob Hoskins is dancing around with the fucking burger.
I thought it was interesting they didn't try to ghostify him at all.
Denzel? No, he's just like he's there.
It's just Denzel there, and it was actually kind of funny.
Oh,
the cheeseburger dance. It was bad. It was over the top physical comedy, and this is the only thing that does add the comedy in here. Are those moments where the police character is like fighting himself and dancing and talking to himself, but they only show that sometimes. We've got Denzel here back as a ghost,
haunting him.
We got some physical comedy, and I'm starting to ask some questions. My first question is, how did they convince Denzel to do this?
So I will answer that question for you. Basically, this was early on in Denzel Washington's career. Now, ironically, the movie that he won his first Oscar for, Glory, he had filmed it. They had finished filming. It had not come out yet. He starts filming this movie. Glory comes out, gets crazy award buzz. He ends up winning the Oscar for it. And like a month afterwards, this comes out. So he's got like all this fucking hype. He's now Academy Award winning. It bumps him up like several levels. And all of a sudden, your next movie is this piece of shit.
How much would he have paid to have this not come out?
He didn't have enough money at the time.
I know.
I wonder,
that probably happens, right? I wonder if that does. Maybe there's those kind of moments where people...
100%. Yeah. There's movies that have been shelved because people don't want to pay for it. In fact, we should watch this at some point, but Texas Chainsaw Massacre, The Next Generation.
Okay.
Matthew McConaughey and Renee Zellweger are in it. Wait, Renee Zellweger? Matthew McConaughey and somebody. Maybe it's Renee Zellweger. Either way, like apparently their agents famously tried to block it coming out because they had become like he became a big star from Dazed and Confused.
Yes.
And they were like, we can't put this shit out. It's gonna send him backwards. Yeah.
Huh, interesting.
So Denzel, perhaps if he had the ability at the time, but
would have put a stop to this.
Famous rumors that he fired his agent after this movie, which
probably
I would deserve it. Yeah, 100% deserve it. Yeah.
This seems to have really bad edits.
It's not a well-made movie.
Okay. Like, would you think this movie was better pre-edit?
No, I don't think there was enough here. In fact, a lot of times you see movies where they try and like save it via editing. I could see them trying to save this via editing and it's not it being insalvageable.
I have one last question for you.
Go for it.
Did M. Night Shyamalan steal the idea for Sixth Sense from this movie?
You know what? If I would be more inclined to say yes if it turned out that Haley Joel Osment was like a racist child.
if he was just completely like belligerent, inappropriate.
If it had been Samuel L. Jackson in the Bruce Willis role, I would be inclined to say yes.
Okay, all right.
But it certainly is possible. Like, I'm sure,
maybe this had a little bit of an influence.
You fucking love shitting on M. Night Shyamalan.
I know. I feel like if there was one person in Hollywood, if they listened to our podcast, who would like come after me, it would be him. And he'd deserve it. That's fine.
It'd be that for you, and for me, it would be the estate of Tony Scott coming after me for fucking Top Gun stuff. They owe me a ball kicking. They owe me a kicking the balls from our Top Gun episode 50.
Yeah, that's true.
So everywhere Sergeant Mooney goes, there's Denzel Washington criticizing his choices, telling Mooney there's no getting away from him. And this is our premise to the movie. It turns out that Denzel didn't die in a car crash. He was murdered.
Uh-oh. Who would go after him? Who would want him dead?
Well, we're going to find out later on, but the point is Sergeant Mooney has to now investigate his murder to hopefully free himself of Denzel the ghost.
Yeah, because Denzel's not going to let it go until he does.
Clearly not.
I'm pretty sure Mooney tries to ignore him for a little bit, and this doesn't go well.
He thinks he's just crazy. He goes to see his doctor who prescribes him with some tranquilizers, but no matter where he goes, there's the ghost of Denzel confronting him with harsh realities like this one.
Personally, I think that this racism stems from feelings of inadequacy. I mean, you look at me, what do you see? Someone college educated, damn good looking, hung like a Shetland pony, and you feel threatened.
Oh, man.
That's some confidence. I mean, I don't think ghost dongs do what real flesh dongs do. So, I mean,
I have no idea. I mean, the only person you can make physical contact with is Bob Hoskins. So unless, it takes a real turn.
Maybe Bob could find out. Maybe that's how they solve this like racial divide. They just
with Denzel Washington's giant Scott, what a weird thing to put in here.
They are going at strange comedy, right? Like they're not digging deep here. They're not trying to go for depth. They're throwing all the comedy is surface and not very well thought out.
You know what is digging deep is giant fucking
You love that he said he had a Shetland pony cuss.
Aren't those like miniature ponies though? I don't know. Is that isn't a Shetland pony a small pony?
Did you Google Shetland pony penis?
I'm fucking going to.
Yeah,
well, no, hang on. I'm going to Google Shetland pony. I'm going to Google Shetland pony penises.
You're just going to zoom in on dongs. I know.
Maybe. They also have a talk about Mooney's diet. It's real bad. And their shared history with Crystal. That's the girl they both dated. And Ghost Denzel thinks that her pimp might have played a role in his death. Her possibly being in danger is enough to get Sergeant Mooney on board, and after a quick ghost knee to the balls, they're off to look for her. Denzel needs him in the balls to, even up from before.
Yeah, I mean, we know that the cop deserved it, so it's okay.
100%. Now, their first stop is Denzel's house, which is part of a very expensive development. So expensive, in fact, that Mooney spends several minutes doing mental calculations trying to figure out what Stone was making in a year. This was not particularly funny.
No, it's weird. I don't know if the comedy's trying to get at how much a lawyer makes versus a police officer or what, but it was pretty poor. I didn't enjoy this part of it. We get to the house, and what's going on there?
Well, they're getting rid of all of his stuff because he's passed away. Obviously, no offspring that we know of.
Yeah, so we find out that his mother has sort of taken on his estate, and she's decided to sell everything off. And how does Ghost Denzel feel about this?
Oh, he doesn't like it. But his mother, just a lovely church-going woman, those are his words. Mooney, kind of a heartfelt scene here between the two of them. She's there to kind of provide us with some emotional investment in Denzel's character. See, he was going to settle down and give her some grandchildren, he swears. But she thinks this was all just a hump pad. Yeah. that phrase made me chuckle.
I think that she calls the house a pad and his bedroom a hump pen. So she really likes the word hump, which is hilarious. She gives him the Rolodex.
Yeah, with all of his contacts, because we know he was a little bit dirty.
Well, and because this is his lead to finding Crystal. There's people who might listen to this podcast who don't even know what a Rolodex is.
So funnily enough, have you ever watched Ozark?
No, I know it. Jason Bateman show, but I haven't watched it.
So I've recently been rewatching it because season 4 just came out a little while ago, or I guess a couple months ago now. And in it, his son finds a Rolodex. He doesn't know what it is. He refers to it as a paper wheel.
Yeah, a paper wheel. I mean, you don't need to put your contacts on pieces of paper that are alphabetized anymore, right? So it makes sense. They'd all just be in a phone, but it's funny how valuable those were in the past.
Well, and it's valuable here for Mooney because he manages to get a hold of Crystal's pimp, the mysterious Graham. That's also the man responsible for Stone's murder. They have a quick phone conversation that basically confirms everything Denzel has been saying. So this guy is going to be the target.
Yeah, this is who they think really is their key to everything. So they're going to go find him and see what they can figure out.
Yeah, but if he's going to infiltrate this guy's social circle, Mooney's going to need a little bit of money. So after stopping by the police station to grab some intel, he heads off to a bowling alley where Denzel has stashed some cash. This is a black bowling alley, which Mooney is surprised exists.
I didn't know you did this. Yeah, and we swim too.
It's called Hollywood Lanes, and you get in there, and it's got a very sort of 80s hip-hop vibe, 80s, 90s hip-hop
For
vibe
sure,
in there.
yeah.
You got some good music going. They're loving the bowling. Does he feel particularly welcome there?
Hoskins? Oh my God, no, not even a little bit. They hit him up with the 2 beer minimum rule, and he has to do that. And Denzel's trying to steer him by mentioning some names and trying to give him intel, but he's a little bit behind the times. Now, Denzel is also surprised in this scene, not by the fact that black people bowl, but that his friends not only knew about his stash of money, but they've been skimming off it for a little while now.
And it's not even just his friend. I think it's his brother.
I don't know, man. I kind of feel like he's using brother in the colloquial term that black people sometimes use to refer to my brother. You know what I mean?
I was debating that myself. I had this internal debate, and I really felt like that person, he was considering his actual literal brother.
I would love to do a deep dive and find out, but I don't want to spend any more time
with this movie.
No.
But it's funny, yeah. So his brother takes the money from our police friend and tells him he's not going to be walking away with it. And then what's the response here?
Well, he gets it back. Bob Hoskins gets it back. Was there a dick punch in here? There is. And there's a guy in the dick.
I don't. Oh, maybe. Yeah. There is at the end. There is a dick punch. I think he threatens to charge them all with some kind of felony, right?
Yeah, because the money is it's part of a criminal investigation or something.
So he takes it away as evidence, he says. He knees a guy in the runs out the door, and they chase him with bowling balls.
They do, but he does manage to get out there. They are rocking his car back and forth for a while, which is kind of funny.
And what makes it funnier is his police friends are concerned about him.
Yeah, they're tailing him.
Yeah,
because
they're tailing him.
What the fuck is up with him? He's gone crazy.
This does not help in the situation.
It does not. But he manages to pull away. They pull the car out. So now they've at least got enough money to get close to Graham. But before that can happen, we need a makeover montage.
Yes.
Yeah, this is Mooney exercising, getting a haircut and a shave, a little mani-pedi action, some new clothes. This is a real Pretty Woman moment. I'm assuming your favorite part of the whole movie?
I mean, you know that I love montages.
I do.
Right?
Everyone knows that.
Yeah, well, I know. At this point, I need a shirt that says more montages or something. Yeah, I do enjoy this. I like it. I think this part here where Denzel is trying to clean him up is actually the best of the comedy we get.
It probably is.
Right?
Yeah, I'm not gonna argue with you.
This is the best of this movie.
When they spin him around in that barber chair, he looks 10 years younger, legit.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We all need to take care of ourselves. That was
life lessons from heart condition. There you go. Yeah. So this happens. Then we get another conversation about Crystal between Mooney and Stone. And then it's time for a little dinner date. Mooney tries to get some information about Graham while also wooing Crystal back with a little help from Denzel's ghost. Stone steers him through the conversation and how to order. And it's a good thing, too. This menu in this place is extremely high end. The wine list is written on a Japanese fan.
We're getting back to problems that we might have seen in Karate Kid here. We're making fun of accents.
Oh, yeah, the waiter
language.
has an accent so racist Bob Hoskins just starts laughing at him.
And that somehow brings him and Crystal closer together.
Well, she's also laughing at him, yeah. So apparently she's not totally.
So they both have that. But
here.
So things are going okay, but then he decides, or Denzel decides, he needs to have a conversation with him. So he pulls him to the washroom.
They have a washroom conversation where, again, this is all the comedy they can fit in this movie. Bob Hoskins is fucking yelling at Denzel. Of course, there's a guy in there cleaning himself up. He can't see Denzel, so he thinks Bob Hoskins is a crazy man yelling to himself in the fucking shitter.
Well, and a lot of these jokes are up related, right? He's screaming about not blowing it. The whole conversation
double entendres.
Is double entendres,
just
right?
Sloppy double entendres.
Yeah. It's not well written, but that's sort of where we're going for on this one.
It is. Mooney and Crystal eventually decide to head somewhere a bit more low key. It's a dingy pool hall where they end up making out before heading back to his hotel room. She walks out of the bathroom wearing the same lingerie she was wearing the night the senator died. And after some tender hand-holding, they bang while the ghost of Denzel Washington watches them in the nearby chair and aggressively off. No, I'm kidding about that last part, but he does watch the whole time, which I'm surprised Hoskins was able to perform. Like, do you think you could have sex if a ghost who had banged your wife was watching and that ghost was hung like a Shetland pony? I mean, probably not, right?
I mean, you'd give it a college try, I guess. I don't know what else to do there. He
just shut your eyes so tight and just go to work?
He was in love with this woman. He doesn't really care if the ghost is there or not. The ghost isn't going to be performing any sex acts on her anytime soon.
I mean, Denzel does them a courtesy by not talking. Like, I feel like if he had said some things...
Well, it's funny. I think he does it to spite Denzel, right? Denzel's getting jealous here. He doesn't like that...
He doesn't look happy in the chair, no.
No, he doesn't like that this is working. He doesn't like that Crystal is actually into our police officer here.
Now, if you're the ghost, do you look away or do you watch?
I mean, if you're a ghost, you're watching. You watch everything. I love his quote, though. I love what Denzel says to him after they're finished.
You stayed in the living room.
Of course. You think I can learn anything watching a white boy, huh?
According to Chris, you can.
I think that's an idea for M. Night. We can make that his next sort of theme in his movie.
Yes, please.
We're gonna revisit. It's gonna be Seventh Sense, and it's gonna be ghosts.
Just pervert ghosts, just constantly
ghosts
watching
all the time.
Once all the
You're welcome, M. Night.
Once all of this commotion has died down, Denzel presses Mooney to get the information about Graham from Crystal, and he tries, but that sets her off, thinking that he was just pumping her for information. She runs away, and he chases her, but when he breaks into the valet box to get the keys to his new Mercedes, forgot to mention that during the little montage there, his old partner walks up with some other cops and brings him into the station so the captain can ask some questions. Questions like, where'd you get all that money, and why are you shouting at thin air like a crazy person?
He doesn't have to take this. He's out of here. He knows his badge and gun are gone, but he doesn't care. He's going to solve this because it's going to help Crystal.
Apparently, yeah. Somehow the captain has let him skate on all these questions. But he's going to have some obstacles because the money's gone and they've scared off Crystal. So he has to figure out his next move. Luckily, Bob Hoskins' cat picks that exact moment to paw at the rolls of film in his goldfish bowl, which reminds him about that film Crystal gave him. You know, on the night they're trying to figure out more about.
Yeah, this was a Karate Kid 2 groaning moment, right? This is one of those so obvious to the plot needs to happen kind of moments.
Just fucking perfect timing. Yeah.
I mean, they set this up by making the cat go through that bowl earlier in the film, but you're just waiting for this to happen. This one is like your audience is stupid as fuck, so we need to show them how to do it moments.
Well, if you think that's bad, just wait till the next fucking day when he's walking along the beach with Denzel's ghost when he just happens to bump into Crystal. What a crazy coincidence.
No, he went to that beach on purpose, though.
What? Are you sure?
Yep, they even have a conversation about it.
Man, you're paying way more attention than
I was trying. It was hard, but I was trying. So he recognizes that the sand on her feet from when they were f***ing had...
Come on, man.
Yeah, no, he does. He straight up says that the sand on their feet from when they're f***ing had this sort of black tar that was only reminiscent of this one beach in the area.
Oh, it's a Point Break thing. He Gary Busey's her.
Exactly.
They find the beach from Point
They
Break.
find the beach just like in Point Break.
Oh, my God.
Look what we've just learned about Point Break.
Oh, this Nem Night
Stolen
Shyamalan.
from Heart Condition.
So he follows her and once again tries to get information, but he ends up getting more than he bargained for when he finds out that she has a kid, a black kid. This raises several questions for me. First of all, this kid is like a year old, so how the fuck did Mooney not notice that the woman he's been obsessed with for years was pregnant?
Well, because he had so much time to recover from the heart surgery.
It was not fucking 9 months. Stop it.
It was.
Plus,
it was
the time to lose, but no.
Yeah.
No, they say 6 weeks later.
No.
Those guys wake him up
really
6 weeks later. I promise you, it's not a fucking year.
But he had to go through 10 months of rehab before they release him back into the police department.
There's no fucking chance he would have noticed. Stop it. Okay. Also, putting that aside for now.
All right.
How exactly did she afford to have this child? She's a hooker. Presumably, this would have laid her up for a while. I'm not sure her pimp would have gone for it. Also, can you hook while pregnant?
But this is what's happening, right? The reason why she still has money and she's still there at her pimp's house. This is where they are, right? They're at the pimp's house now. Because she has evidence hidden away of the senator's murder. She's blackmailing him to keep them in a safe place.
I cannot believe you defend this movie, but defend this. This is LA in the late 80s, pretty much the height of the AIDS epidemic, and Denzel Washington's out here robbing hookers? Come on. Dude, there's no fucking way.
I mean, it's not a good choice. His mom talks about some of his sexual escapades in the hump pad. In the hump pad, and she warned him to maybe wrap it up a little bit, but in the end, he died by a car accident, so it doesn't matter.
You think he had AIDS when he died?
I'm not going to speculate whether he had AIDS or not.
HIV positive, Napoleon Stone dies in car crash.
We're not going there. We're not going to draw humor out of that. I did make a Philadelphia joke earlier.
You sure did. I was going to say, that's on you.
That's on you. You were bringing us back there, and I'm uncomfortable with it, if I'm going to be honest.
Well, as you can imagine, Mooney takes this well. No, I'm just kidding. The next time we see him, he's speeding down the highway, chugging bourbon from the bottle.
Yeah, this is intense. The guy's got a bottle of Jim Beam, and he's just
going
chugging
to town
it.
on it.
Oh,
yeah.
my God. The cop is driving while chugging Jim Beam on a California highway. He pulls off and then goes into the most racist tirade of the entire movie.
Well, yeah, he's going for an introspective beach stumble. And when he's confronted by Denzel's ghost, he fires off a nonsensical rant about how this is all a black conspiracy. And he has another heart attack. This whole scene is rough.
Yeah, so they've portrayed him as a racist in this. And there's been moments where he's said stuff that's clearly not okay. But up until here, they've really kind of built him as a likable person who was trying to help people.
I disagree, dude. He's not likable.
At all?
No,
I don't think he is, but they are trying to build sympathy with him.
He loses it all right here.
Anything they build up here, when he starts talking about a black conspiracy and goes on that highway tirade before having a heart attack, that's gone.
These are the demented ramblings of a crazy person.
Yes.
And he is in bad shape here, so he starts trying to work the phones to convince his cop friends that the senator died of an OD and that Graham is responsible, but they all pass on helping him, except for the fresh-faced kid from that hooker bus at the beginning. I guess because, as we mentioned, he got a little service from the lady before they arrested her. Mooney threatens to tell his mom, so he's on board with this.
Now, we kind of have to say, and we skimmed over this, he survives that heart attack.
He's in the hospital when he's making these calls.
Yeah. He goes to the hospital. He does survive it. They do a white light moment, though, where you think he's dead.
They won't kill this fucking guy.
Yeah.
There's all these times when he should be dead, and more coming, by the way.
Yeah, I kind of wish he was, but that's okay. So, yes, so he convinces this fresh-faced police officer with a little bit of blackmail here to help him out and try to figure this out.
Yeah, and this guy agrees, but he also tells Mooney that Crystal reached out. She called the station, and they told her to call him at home. So Mooney calls his answering machine from the hospital and somehow is able to hear his messages, which... Did that technology exist at this point? His machine just looked like one of those old cassette tape jobs.
Yeah, I think at some point in the 80s, and I think this is supposed to be in the 90s now, right?
It came out in 1990s. This movie filmed in 89.
That was a possibility. You could call into those and they would replay them for you.
I don't know, man. Maybe. The message tells him that Graham wants the pictures. He's got her and Denzel's baby. And if Mooney doesn't meet them in 40 minutes, something bad is going to happen and come alone. So despite being barely able to walk after a second massive heart attack, he escapes the hospital with some help from Denzel and races to the meeting spot.
What a hilarious fucking movie we have here.
Just a classic comedy.
What is happening
I'd put it right
here?
up there with Airplane.
Yeah,
it's not a comedy at all.
Just giggles all the way along this. It is a thriller cop movie with some very lame attempts at comedy throughout. Not comedy-esque at all.
Nope.
We're getting a very 80s music and pace to this thing.
We're gearing up for like a dramatic conclusion. And luckily for Mooney, his partner, who now fully believes what he said about the senator, is racing to the meet point also, along with the fresh-faced kid. He's nervous they might get in trouble, but Mooney's partner tells him,
being a cop is like being a pitcher, Dolnick. You want your strikes, you gotta risk your balls.
And that feels like a fairly strained metaphor to me, but whatever.
This is a throwback to a very early thing that Mooney says to him. So he's sort of paying that one back. It is a stretched metaphor for sure,
right?
But yeah, they're definitely trying to come full circle in the writing here. It is interesting that we have a ghost and a man who are both in love with the same woman going to try to rescue her.
And again, I say why? What is it about this woman? They have a conversation in the car ride about how they both should have married her. I'm like, what the fuck? Nothing they've shown us has made me believe she is anything special. Worth not one, but two men being like, oh, she's the sunshine's on her fucking ass.
I know she's not Elizabeth Shue. Like I'm aware of that, right? She's not Elizabeth Shue, right? She's not that. But they're moving forward. They're both working together now. Like this is all in. They're both gonna save her. They're gonna save his child.
They hope so. And they arrive at the meeting place. It's a bombed out old beach house. And with only 12 minutes of movie left, I'm starting to think we might have the same kind of like rushed resolution we did with the Karate Kid Part 2. I will say this though, great strategy here as Ghost Denzel walks ahead through the house to scout out where everyone is and let Mooney know. That's brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Imagine all police officers when they were coming to take down a house
had a ghost scout.
Yeah, amazing. Really smart. It works well. Mooney's got a shotgun.
Fucking great. Yeah.
And Denzel moves forward and he's able to take down all those people secretly waiting for him.
Because Denzel gives them the advice.
It's like cheating in a video game. Like this is
It really is. Now, this is where earlier we talked about like the budget and stuff. One of these henchmen does just a beautiful window fall. The guy falls back into the window. This is great. But I was like, fuck, man, that's a big budget move this late in the game. Like, that was a weird...
Why did they hold on to that one?
Yeah. But hey, man, it works.
I think they're trying to go out with a bang here. Like, they're trying to bring us back to like a Commando-esque finish or something.
Fuck, if only. Yeah. Now, speaking of going out with a bang, unfortunately, Graham is there. He shoots Mooney and kind of walks out. So I'm like, oh, fuck, Mooney's dead. No, he's not dead. Even though by all accounts he should be for several reasons. And he leads Crystal and the baby out of the beach house with Denzel once again playing the role of like scout/lookout.
Mooney's a hero. This is clearly what we're learning here. This man who drinks, smokes, eats garbage, and is a racist piece of shit is here to save the day. He gets shot in the shoulder, and yet he's still able... He
gets shot in the chest.
I think it is closer to the shoulder than his heart.
I think he punctures a lung.
He would be more gassed than he is if he is.
He should be dead.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. He should be dead, but he's not. He goes over to Crystal and the baby.
Yeah, he manages to drop Crystal and the baby out a second-story window to safety, but before he can jump down, Graham steps out of the shadows to kill him. Luckily, Graham's giant 80s cell phone rings just then, which causes Mooney to turn and fire, killing Graham and somewhat hilariously, sending Mooney falling backwards out the window, where he rolls down a slanted part of the building and onto the beach.
I laughed really hard.
It's very
at this
funny.
scene.
Now, my question is, who was calling Graham right then? Like so, every character we know is here in this scene. There's no one left.
We know that the only reason Graham has any kind of clout is because he has covered up why the senator died. They have figured out the senator died due to crack overdose.
And he was a senator who was against drug use, by the way.
And so this is probably all funded and held by the party that the senator was like a part of.
Yeah, Graham's a cleaner. They brought him in to kind of fix the situation.
Yes, exactly. And so that's who I assume was trying to call him. Timing on that's bad.
It's horrible.
This cell phone is like the size of a car phone from the 80s.
He's carrying a fucking cooler. It's got like a generator.
It's massive. When it rang, it kind of almost knocked him over. So it was easy. It was really easy for our main character to spin around and shoot him.
Oh, yeah, man. I guess we'll never know who is calling. But here's one thing I do know. Mooney's definitely dead now, right? I mean, massive heart attack. Massive heart attack mere hours beforehand. Shot in the chest, falls out a window. And sure enough, the next shot we see is of a church with somber bells ringing. Oh, wait. Those aren't somber bells. They're celebration bells as Mooney is alive and marrying Crystal.
I actually kind of like this moment in the movie because they play with you, right? They are like... He should be dead. This should be a funeral. But very clearly, as an audience member, you know it's a wedding. Like, I was like, if you had to pause the movie and been like, I will bet you $100,000 right now that this is a funeral or a wedding, I would have taken wedding 10 out of 10 times.
And you would have won $100,000, man. Everyone's happy right here, especially me, as they work in the title of the movie on the final line.
Yes.
Literally, the newlyweds are posing for a photo with Denzel's baby, and Mooney reaches out to put his arm around Ghost Denzel. When one of the cops mentions to Mooney's former partner how he's got his arm out all weird.
Detective Mooney's holding his arm a little funny, isn't he?
Yeah, it must have something to do with his heart condition.
We did it.
Damn, we did it.
We did it.
Now, this is the part that, like, did you see the crew that is at this wedding?
I'll be honest. At this point, I was mostly dialed out.
You were just ready to go?
Please end
Guess
this.
who's at the wedding?
The captain,
Yes.
his former partner,
Yes.
the fresh-faced kid.
Yes. The prostitute with the fresh-faced kid.
Okay.
Which you denied earlier. But they were there.
Yeah.
Everyone from LA Bowl.
The bowling alley?
Yes.
Come on.
They are
Hollywood
all
Lanes?
in the crowd.
Yeah.
His mother, his brother, who is also holding his child.
Again, I really think that's a my brother
The
kind of thing.
brother and mother are embracing holding the child.
I was not paying attention to it.
It was at the end of this movie, you know what happened? Racial harmony. That is what the message was at the end of this movie. The heart transplant brought all races together.
Well, I mean, for God's sakes, we end with the black and white empty-armed photo of Bob Hoskins with arm around no one, slowly turning into a full-color Denzel-included photo. So I guess to your point, we've now achieved some kind of harmony. But here's a question. Even though they solved his murder and Graham is dead, Ghost Denzel is just going to be with them forever, doomed to walk the earth watching hairy, sweaty Bob Hoskins plowing his baby mama? Is that what's going to happen here? I don't think this is the resolution they were going for.
He wants to know that his son is taken care of and that the future for his son is great. Like, he is going to put up with seeing that hairy, sweaty man bang his ex-partner over and over and over again to ensure that his child has a bright future.
I mean, if nothing else, we're ending on a positive note, and we're out now. We're into the credits, and again, like an odd musical choice to go out on. This whole movie is so fucking weird. It's tonally all over the place.
I feel like it was edited really, really poorly. I don't say that about many of the movies we watch, but it seems like the music that was put in, it seems like the sound effects, many of the cuts, a lot of the strange, like, dance by myself humor didn't make a lot of sense to me.
I think we can agree that several things have gone wrong here. Like, this is not the fault of any one person.
Oh, no. Like, to put this all on one member of a cast would be incorrect, right? This stems from the writing, the directing, the editing,
the music choices.
The acting itself, I feel like
it's not terrible.
Kind of hits what it's supposed to do.
It's not terrible.
They all, I think, do what they're supposed to. I just think everything else that's around this movie was super misguided.
Can you see why it's widely considered Denzel Washington's worst movie?
How embarrassing for Denzel.
It's bad, right?
Especially after Glory coming out.
Off of his Oscar win for Glory, to have this be your next picture is not great.
And I mean, he is not terrible in this. He's
fine.
He's not a tremendously
doing Denzel
funny
Washington
person.
stuff. No, but he's charismatic. He's handsome.
Yeah, he does what he's supposed to in this movie. I feel like he acted exactly as the part was made. And in fact, he probably brought more to it than if it was someone like shittier at acting, right? Like if this was a no-name person coming into this role, you wouldn't buy in the same way as if it was Denzel.
We've clearly reached a point where we should segue into our ratings here because we're at the end, and what a fucking pile this movie is. So the way we do this, we rate it on a scale of 1 to 10. We do it twice. 1 to 10 for how bad it is, 1 to 10 for how enjoyable, and the goal is always to find movies that are a 10 out of 10 on both scales. The perfect blend of bad and fun, as we call it, the Crit 20.
It's been a while.
We've only had 3 movies ever in the course. Like, we're 55 episodes of this podcast, only 3 episodes. And I gotta tell you, this is not gonna be one for me. I only have this as a 9 bad, which, as I'm saying, it sounds kind of crazy, but like, I found myself strangely invested in this. And I think it is because, like, as you pointed out a second ago, the acting performance is not that bad. Like, Hoskins is pretty good. Denzel Washington is like pretty good. Even the girl playing the Crystal, the hooker who attracts both of them, she does a fine job with what she's given. And so because of that, like, as a comedy, it's a miserable failure. But I was like strangely invested in seeing the resolution. So I can't quite go as hard as a 10. I've got it as a 9. I don't know. Is it crazy?
No, I wanted to see this resolved. Like, this was one of those movies where even though it was so problematic and so much was shit about it, I wanted to see what happened at the ending.
Oh my God, man. Me too. I don't know. It's so strange.
I don't understand. I don't understand. So I had it as a 9 bad.
Oh my God, look at that.
Yeah, right on top of each other on this one.
Yeah.
The plot was problematic and
great.
straightforward. I didn't like the weird, like, racial harmony at the end.
You didn't like that? You wanted there to still be disharmony?
Well, it just seemed to be wrapped up so conveniently. Like, of course I don't enjoy racial disharmony, but the way that this all wrapped up in the end with all of those families happy and together, all those people from the bowling alley and his mother and
why would they have been there?
Like, all of it to me.
Bob Hoskins is gonna go to the bowling alley and invite all those guys to the fucking
apparently
wedding.
they're all the wedding.
Come on,
Like
that makes
now,
no sense.
so and it was so abrupt. The fact that the harmony was so abrupt at the end felt like a spit in the face to so many people who still continue to deal with racial inequality. Right? Like that was one of those.
This is not. In fact, I'm pretty sure that fucking what website was it? Complex ranked this as like the 21st most racist movie of all time.
Yeah, and I see that, right? Like I can definitely see that in that both the things that are said in it and the way that they are so dismissive of structural racism, like there's no way that that doesn't exist for me. So those were all the problems that I had with it. In terms of enjoyability, the acting was okay. I got pulled in, which I didn't think was going to happen. I felt the pacing was okay. I gave this a 6 out of 10 for
God damn.
a 6.
We're actually really close here because I have this as a 5 enjoyable.
Oh, so we're right on
We're
track.
not far
on
up. This is one of our closest ratings. Every so often we'll get really close, and this is one of them. The acting performance is pretty solid. Considering what a piece of shit this was, no one's phoning it in. Like Bob Hoskins, he has a charisma that I can't quite explain. It's my real problem with this, aside from all of the really poor attempts at humor, I kind of thought like a lot of the characters were sort of underdeveloped. I have it as a 5 because I didn't not enjoy watching it, if that makes sense. Like I didn't enjoy it, but I also didn't not enjoy it. I watched it and at no point was I like, why am I watching this? Like I watched it contentedly, and then now that it's over, I will never watch it again.
Yeah,
I'm not like upset that I watched it in the first place.
It's one of those movies that keeps you engaged yet is absurdly problematic.
Yes, exactly. Yeah,
both in its quality and in the things that happen in it, right?
Yeah,
which is a strange feeling as an audience member, and I know that we kind of come across these as we're watching movies that took place in a different time.
Yeah, I think based on both of our ratings, we both enjoyed this more than other things we have watched in the past. Like it's a higher enjoyable rating than I have for at least like 3 or 4 movies. I think it's the same with you.
Yeah, so it's not high. Like it's not a high enjoyability rating, but it's also not like bottom basement here. We're not like, yeah, I clearly would never watch this again, as happens with so many of the movies we watch.
Yeah.
But I don't know that I would say I regret like going through it and watching it.
Well, I definitely will not regret it because for me, I had to find a movie that would match the beer you gave me, and this actually fits. And by the way, let's just segue to the beer because I, a while ago, cracked open the double Two-Hearted Ale, which I am shocked to find out is 11% alcohol content, and I am like legitimately drunk right now.
It doesn't taste like 11%, does it?
It went down real smooth. My glass is empty, but my words are becoming increasingly slurry.
So Two-Hearted Ale is a sort of mischievous mistress because it tastes so delicious. It's so straightforward, yet it's going to get you in trouble.
Mischievous mistress. I feel like it's got me in trouble right now. Like I'm just like, I need a fucking burger is what I need.
Let's get some food after this. Is a good idea.
Bob Hoskins.
We're gonna go towards the heart attack after this because we're gonna go for 2 of the 3 parts of the trifecta.
Yeah,
alcohol, fatty meats. But no, I wanted to say that I'm really enjoying this Bell's beer. I would love a road trip to Michigan, where we could head and hit some American craft breweries and try to find some stuff for the show. I think that would be a lot of fun.
There's apparently a lot of breweries in Michigan that are very enjoyable.
Yeah, I think they have a pretty large craft beer scene, so it would be worth a trip out there for sure. For us, being pretty close to Ontario, it's not too big a trip.
Not bad at all. Overall, the Two-Hearted Ale, I was a fan of. Like, again, not my style, but I was not having a problem drinking it. The double Two-Hearted Ale, that's where things got a little dicey.
I mean, anytime you double the alcohol content or more than double the alcohol content, it can get a little bit dangerous, right? When you go for that, it's going to punch you a little bit more in the face, and it's also going to leave you a little more stumbly in the words. But I had fun both talking with you about this piece of shit movie and enjoying this delicious beer.
Well, I'm glad we could wrap up our birthday exchange. It took a little while, but we made it happen.
Are we going to do this again another year? Or
I don't know what the move is here. I mean, there aren't a lot of birthday-themed movies. We kind of hit it on the head with Happy Birthday to Me. So
I don't think we force it. I think we'll figure out another way to add in some more kind of...
The hell with it.
After this beer, you're done?
I don't know, man. That's good. You know what? I'm glad we had this. Always nice to go kind of international with some of the offerings also. We have a lot of Ontario stuff, so getting something from the States. Nice little change of pace. I liked it. Well, let me tell you, next week we are in for a treat because First of all, I'm in for a treat. We're moving away from this to a beer that's more my style. But also, we're going to be looking at our first blaxploitation movie of the season. Last year, it took us all the way to like the second last episode to get to a blaxploitation film. We're not making that mistake this year. Next week, we're going to be watching just a classic of the genre. It's Coffee, starring the lovely and talented Pam Grier.
Oh, I'm familiar with Pam Grier for sure. You introduced me to blaxploitation last season when we watched The Human Tornado.
Well, this is a very different, like Rudy Ray Moore, a little more comedy oriented. This is more of like a straight up, like an action movie almost.
Drama action?
Yeah, so we're going to get a little bit of that next week. That'll be fun. Until then, if you have not already, please follow us on social media, Twitter and Instagram at the BMB Podcast.
If you want to send us any suggestions for beers and or movies or combinations of both or either, feel free to slide into the DMs of our social media or an email at thebmbpodcast@gmail.com.
Absolutely. We are always looking for audience requests and feedback. But until next time, I'm Cooper.
And I'm Nolan.
And we'll see you next week on Bad Movies and Beer.
Keep it two-hearted.
All right. Together, they're making a cardiac arrest.